In this video, Andre and I talk about the dangers of elitism from Hollywood to Washington, D.C. I also share my thoughts on the state of Kentucky and my disdain for so-called AI products. Thanks for checking out our video.
I watched this video from Patrick CC talking about why comedians don't host the award shows anymore. And one of the things he said in there was how Ricky
Will Smith.
Oh, wow.
Well, no. One of the things he mentioned was that how Ricky Gervais, who basically the short version, and if you haven't seen it, we can find a link and just watch it. It's very interesting. How when he just crapped over a room full of millionaires that are they're so important to themselves.
Well, you say you're woke, but the companies you work for, I mean, unbelievable. Apple, Amazon, Disney. If ISIS started a streaming service, you'd call your agent, wouldn't you?
They get an award that they kind of nominate themselves for that nobody cares about. Then there's a clip where Ricky Gervais asks Johnny Depp if he watched the movie The Tourist, and Johnny Depp goes, no. And I'm like, that's it. Like, once you get to a point, not saying you're an elitist, that you're so disconnected from reality, you don't even validate your own shit. How are you going to?
Why do you need to when you have other people validating it for you constantly? I mean, you literally pay people to do that for you.
So think about this whole social justice movement. Like, how many things you let slip through the cracks before you realize, oh, we're just not going to do that? Whether it's the environment, whether it's fair wages, whether it's healthcare, all these things.
Mm-hmm. Money in politics. I mean,
right? It's just.
But that's part of it, right? Is that the system, the way that it's currently set up, is doing exactly what it should.
We make the system, though.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is that we've made this system, and the end result of it is what we're getting. Right. And
no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we make the system. We either decide to continue to be complicit,
sure,
or actually commit to saying, no, fuck that. We're not doing that.
So I think we're actually on the same page here.
Okay.
I feel like there's a level of complicity in what's happening right now, is basically the way that I look at it, that we've allowed it to get to this point. So there is a level of complicity that it's allowed it to be what it is right now. But I agree that if we want to change it, we have to change the system. We can't expect this system that we have right now to generate different outputs because we want it to, right? The actual inputs for the system are going to have to change if we want something different to come out of it. I mean, we're in a situation now where we've allowed politicians to get paid, an obscene amount of money to basically sit and do nothing for years on end in Congress, whether that's in the House or the Senate. And we're not evaluating their performance on anything other than whether or not they get reelected.
That's fair. And I heard a very an argument against term limits. And it made them, I agree with that 100%. Stop voting for these dumb fucks. It's just right. There's no reason somebody should be in Congress for 30 years. Just stop voting for them. If they're not doing their job, stop voting for them. It negates.
Very rarely, right? Yeah, maybe there's one or two people who do a great job for 30 years in Congress, but that should not be the rule. That should be the exception.
Sure, right? If people.
Jesse fucking Helms didn't deserve to be in Congress as long as he was, right? Mitch fucking McConnell has not deserved to be in Congress. But like you said, because we talked about this before, where I'm like, I don't understand why the fucking people of Kentucky want somebody like Mitch McConnell representing them. And you were talking about it. It's just like Kevin McCarthy in California, where it's like, yeah, we're going to support him because it makes us feel powerful. It makes us feel important that we have somebody who's that important in the government.
Right.
And especially if you're Kentucky, where God forbid there's anything good about your fucking state at all. And the only thing you have to rely on.
You just went hard on Kentucky.
I'm sorry, do we like Kentucky? Is there something about Kentucky we're supposed to enjoy?
Right. I've got a friend from Kentucky.
Usually I'm not the one that goes hard on this stuff. Usually it's Andre who's like, no, fuck this whole state. And I'm just like, Kentucky literally has nothing good about it. There's nothing good. That's not true, though. They have a Democratic government. So
yeah, they're
about them. I still don't fucking get this. I don't, right? North Carolina. How do we have a governor who's Democrat?
Pause.
Yeah, okay.
Pause. Okay. How many times have you told me to stop condemning entire places?
A few, I'm sure. But how often do we record an episode on Friday afternoon where I've been day drinking at 1 o'clock?
Oh, man.
I will bury the whole state of Kentucky. I'm fine with that.
Okay, I have a friend from Kentucky that actually listens to our podcast, so... Hey, this one's for you, buddy.
How about this? I'll condemn the entire state of Kentucky except for Andre's friend who listens to the podcast. No, I'm sure, honestly, I'm sure there are tons of great things and wonderful people in the state of Kentucky. It's mind-boggling to sit here and feel like y'all can look at Mitch McConnell and say, no, that turtle's the man that needs to represent us for the next fucking 6 years. I mean, you literally let that man retire on his own now. He should have been voted out at least 6 years ago, right?
So the reason it happens, the reason why we have a Democratic mayor in Kentucky, governor in Kentucky, and in North Carolina, is because of gerrymandering.
No, but that doesn't make any sense.
It totally,
because the governorship and the senatorships are not based on county, like there aren't county electoral college scores, right? Like at a statewide level, that's how you elect the governor, that's how you elect your senators. And so that's why I'm still trying to understand.
Well, to be fair, like it is gerrymandering. Like I think it is, because I'm starting to, like, I've always wondered about North Carolina. Like, how is it possible that this keeps happening? And how do they flip on federal elections where they'll vote for Bush, for example? How does North Carolina vote for Bush,
right, but
vote for?
So what it feels like to me, right? You look at it at the federal level. Certain people feel like Republicans are better, or the GOP is, better. Maybe the idea is, I don't want the federal government spending a whole bunch of money, so I want a super conservative in there who I think is going to tamp down, even though we know based on history that's not the case. Just saying.
Yeah.
But at the state level, I want all of these benefits, right? I want all of these things that this Democratic governor, candidate is promising. And so, but I mean, fuck, we had Pat McCrory, right?
But actually,
4 years,
actually think about it. I don't know if that's true, because if you look at the population centers of North Carolina in particular, Wake, Mecklenburg,
that's it. Those are the population centers.
Yeah. No. Then we have 98 other counties that do jack nothing.
Shit. Jack fucking shit.
Gerrymandering would come into play if there are more.
But I still don't understand how, if we're only looking at it at a statewide level, right?
Because of the primary system. I think the primary.
Okay. Oh, okay.
I think the primary system weakens the final ballot enough to where you get the imbalance of the actual, like, elected officials. Because think about it, people are saying, "Oh, Trump was killing it." I'm like, dude, 25,000 people voted, yo. And even of that 25,000, 15,
he lost 30 or 15, between 15 and 30% depending on the state.
Right? And then you've got Nikki Haley still getting like a majority of the votes that he didn't get. So I think and I could be wrong, if you're a political science person that looks at these numbers all the time, I think there's an offset in the primary system when it comes to federal elections. I still believe that gerrymandering's wrong. But I do believe that, like, we have Mark Robinson, or is that his name? The crazy black guy running for governor in the state?
Yeah, you mean the lieutenant governor, the man who's already been elected to a position of some authority in this government, who has said more batshit fucking crazy stuff than Donald J. Trump himself. That I saw an article the other day that said the GOP was testing the outer limits of MAGA politics in North Carolina, basically. With candidates like Mark Robinson, that fucking woman in Greensboro or wherever it is that's running for the school superintendent for the entire state, because, you know, she's homeschooled 5 kids, so she knows how to run an entire state.
Her name is Morrow. She's from Cary.
Yeah, she's a fucking joke.
Yeah. I believe personally the GOP is imploding. Chris, you were so heated.
No, I know.
You're so impatient. You're so impatient for the end of the GOP.
Okay, but here's the problem that I see with that, right? Is I don't want the. I mean, yes, I want the end of the GOP the way that it currently is.
Yes, me too.
Right? But we need another party. It can't be only Democrats have good ideas, right? Only Democrats are the sane ones. Because while that may work for this specific upcoming election, in the long term, that does not pay dividends, right? Like,
so is it Bobby Kennedy?
No, fuck no.
Right?
Well,
so
no.
Right?
No, it's not. It's not. It's not RFK Jr.
Yeah.
No, fuck no, it's not. But and I'm not even saying that, like, no, it's not. What I think is, I'm trying.
You cried when Hillary did not get elected, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
It's coming.
I didn't understand it at the time. I get it now, like looking back on it. I remember that night, the night of the election, I posted on Facebook a screen cap of Google where the first state had been announced, right? And it went to Trump. It was some red state. And he had like 6 electoral votes over, 0 or whatever for Hillary. And I screen grabbed it and I posted, I said, "What is going on?" Like, as a joke, I'm thinking like, this is a joke. And then I woke up the next morning. I was like, oh, it's not a joke. We've actually elected this guy. And we did, right? Like, I mean, fuck, you and I sat here December of 2019 and said things aren't as bad as we thought they would be. And then COVID happened. March of 2020, 4 months later.
And he's drink bleach. What?
Yeah, and it all went downhill from there. So I didn't cry when Hillary wasn't elected. Again, I didn't understand how more people looked at him and thought, yeah, that's the answer, versus her. I understand the issues that people had with her. But where I'm at now, I guess it is frustrating, right? To sit here and feel like there's this swath of American voters, and it's not everybody. I know that it's not even the entire, Republican or GOP or whatever voter base, but there's a swath of them that look at it and they're like, yeah, it doesn't matter. None of this stuff matters because he's on my side, right? And this, partisanship to some degree, but it feels beyond that to me. It does border, I think, if not just straight up fall into like that realm of cultish behavior.
Dude,
where it's like the leader can do no
they're
wrong.
Imploding.
Right?
They can't.
Okay, and you're right. You are right. The GOP is in its current. They are fucking dying, right? And thank God, because this version of the GOP needs to die. The Laura Trump getting put as co-chair, Ronna McDaniel out. I mean, not that she fucking mattered one way or the other. Not that Laura Trump's going to do anything worse, I think, than Ronna McDaniel did. Thank God that somebody or some people at NBC were like,
Chuck
we
Todd.
don't want this fucking bitch. Yeah, Chuck Todd of all people, right? Chuck fucking Todd. Not in a million years did I think I'd get on this podcast and be like, Chuck Todd, you said something right.
I stopped watching NBC because of Chuck Todd.
Yeah, he was fucking after 2016. Are you kidding me? That guy was fucking obnoxious.
I can't. I just can't. Here's my working theory. There is a chance that let me back up. There's a chance that Trump dies. But that's the best case scenario.
You think between now and November? I mean, yes, there is a chance, right? The man's in his 70s. He's almost 80.
That's plan C. Plan B is this. I don't believe the GOP can pull out a national win at the federal level. I think their influence is so waning. And people are focusing on the, let's say, combined 30-40% of partisan voters, that they forget that most other people like you and I don't fit in that bucket. And
I mean, even if you look at the 2020 election again, right? There were people who voted for Ted Budd, who voted for, I guess you didn't have a governor, but then who also didn't vote for Trump. Right? You had people who voted Republican at the senator's side and then either abstained or voted for Biden at the presidential side of things. And I am with you in that I can't imagine that's gotten any, that group has not grown significantly from where we were in November of 2020, right? This is, we have January 6th that's happened since then. We have all of the court cases, everything that's going on right now. And I think part of it, right, is a little bit of caution because of how it felt in 2016.
I think
there's no way.
The thing you have to do is not be so poll focused, right? Whenever I hear,
well, that's fair. I don't listen to polls. I don't give a fuck about polls. Poll numbers mean absolutely nothing to me anymore.
Right.
You can show me a poll where Biden's leading. You can show me a poll where Trump's leading. Neither of them mean anything right now because the way that you guys are conducting these polls is extremely outdated. You're not actually taking into consideration so many of the different factors. And at the end of the day, it's still just a small sample size of what the actual overall group is going to do. And that can only tell you but so much.
The reason I started to, like, one, the polls are stupid. Secondly, it's because I think back on our experiences at E-Area just doing surveys.
Yep.
The questions themselves are biased.
Yeah.
And it
is so incredibly hard to build a survey that does not have inherent bias.
Right. And it just, it dilutes any result you get, and any speculation once you've concluded that there's bias is dramatically wrong. Case in point, the people that said that like it was a Biden-Trump election and Nikki Haley still garnered like 15% at a minimum of votes, even after she suspended her campaign, were fundamentally wrong.
Yep.
So provided of that 15%, and we're talking of a small subset of actual voters in primaries that were enthusiastic to hear the media talk about it.
Right.
Where do those people go? When it's the actual election, when it's the general, even if 50% of the people that
right, that voted for Haley after she dropped out, even if 50% of them do choose to vote for Trump, you've still lost half of that 15%. And we know from the 2016 election that the margin of error for Trump in each of those swing states is extremely small. I mean, even in the 2020 election, right? Like the margin of error on both sides is really, really small. And so if you're losing even 50% of 30% or 50% of 15% of 10%, every little bit counts.
And it's
like let's be honest.
Let's do fucking math.
That motherfucker was lucky to win the 2016.
Right. Let's do math. Let's look at it from a mathematical standpoint as opposed to, these hypotheticals that pollsters. Who's the guy?
But it feels Nate Silver.
No, there's a guy on, not Nate Silver. Worse than Nate Silver is
Worse than me.
Yeah, he's actually annoying me. On CNN, he's there.
Yeah, he's the analytics guy. I
God.
know who you're talking about. He's always at the boards and moving stuff around and tapping and all of that.
Snapshot in time, all right? So I went back since 1972. How far are the polls off at this point? On average, they're off, get this, by 6 points. They've been off by as large as 50.
God.
Let's hear your Harry Enten rant. I want to hear this.
All right. I am a firm believer in facts. When you start getting very opinionated about the facts and just making up hypotheses that aren't relevant to the facts that are as they're laid out, it's annoying. It's just speculation. And he has this innate ability to do that, whether it's even the Super Bowl. He had this whole tirade about shit that I was like, dude, I just want to watch a fucking game. And who are you to tell me you're a Bills fan? And let's just move on. And it's everything. This morning, he was like, well, where Trump was last year, this time about his influence in the economy, he was only +5 last time he polled, but now he's +20%. And I'm just like, what are you talking about?
Did you poll the exact same people?
Right?
No. So who fucking cares? A different group of people have a different opinion about something.
It's irrelevant.
That's what you're telling me. Yeah, exactly. You can't compare the two and say that something has changed significantly if you're not polling the exact
It's
same.
relevant. All these.
Sorry. That's fucking.
He just annoys, and it's nothing against him as an individual. He's doing his job.
Right.
But
it's the way that CNN has set him up, right? The positioning that they have for him within the organization, within the news broadcast, that they treat him as some sort of expert, as some sort of, this guy can tell us what we don't already know. And ultimately what he can tell us is what the fucking polls are telling us, which is jack shit.
And that's the problem with predictive analytics.
Isn't this the problem with AI in general? Oh my God. Have you seen the Samsung Galaxy AI commercial on YouTube?
No.
Where the guy shows up at some Southeast Asian airport, and to his phone he's like, I'm at Terminal 6 and I'm wearing a gray shirt. And the taxi driver gets it translated into whatever language, and he sends a message back in that language that then translates to English back to the guy. And they're like, Samsung Galaxy AI has finally arrived. And I'm like, that's a literal fucking translator that has existed for years. How on earth is that fucking AI? What does artificial intelligence have to do with this? There's literally nothing of this that required any sort of intelligence that was artificially manufactured. You took words that mean one thing in a language and translated them to the words that mean the same thing in another language. That's not fucking AI. Stop it.
So what I hear you saying is
these commercials are kind of ridiculous these days. It seems a little unrealistic to call it AI.
I am so tired of the term AI.
That's going to be a short right there. That is our home run short from this episode. Chris losing his motherfucking shit on the Samsung Galaxy AI commercial. But even better is the Microsoft Copilot commercial. I swear these motherfuckers went to Copilot and they said, make me an ad for Copilot. That's what they did. And they didn't even review it. They just immediately sent it to YouTube and were like, fucking everywhere. We want this everywhere. Oh my God. If this is the future of advertising, thanks to AI, fucking kill me now. Jesus Christ. I'm not paying for the ad-free experience, so I have to experience this on a regular basis. And I'd rather not. I'd rather just fucking die than have to watch another fucking AI-generated commercial on my goddamn iPhone.
I just want to say thank you for all the people that subscribe and listen to the Chris and Andre Show. We're very glad and grateful that you listen and you've subscribed. We're going to get on a regular cadence. Please go to the Chris and Andre Show, or chrisandandreshow.com. Subscribe to our audio podcast. We are on fireside.fm, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, obviously. Wherever you're listening to podcasts, you can probably find the audio version. And yeah, we really appreciate it. I'm very grateful and humbled, to be honest with you, that people actually enjoy the podcast. And if you like what you hear, hit the like button, leave comments. If you have suggestions, always just let us know. We'll be glad to answer that. We do involve and engage in the comments, even the weird ones. So yeah. Chris is just standing there stoic.
I don't know what you just were like, I'm going to do this thing and didn't tell me what you were going to say. So yeah, what he said.